Right. Good afternoon, everybody, um, and welcome to this pre-conference workshop organized by the GSU. I really want to thank the GSU and the Aldrich Conference organizers for bringing us on board to speak about this very important topic. At the CITL, we take every opportunity to support all academic projects on campus at MON, and so we do not take this for granted. Thanks for inviting us over. And my name is Timilein, and I am presenting with Jasmine today. We are both learning technology coaches at the CITL. And but don't worry about us for now, because we are going to be talking more about our role at the CITL and what we do maybe in the next couple of slides. But just to stay on the topic, we are going to be discussing how to captivate viewers during an online presentation. So I hope you enjoy it and gain as much as you can from the presentation. So this will be the outline of what we'll be discussing today. First, we'll be talking about us, like I mentioned earlier. We'll be talking about learning technology coaches at the CITL and how we support academic projects and programs, and in fact, instructions on campus. And again, we'll talk about why this topic is very important. Why do you, in fact, need to through your audience in an online presentation? So, and then after that, we'll give you a little bit of a shocking information about online presentation, and then finally dive into how to captivate your audience. After that, we'll give room for question and answer session. So if you have any questions, maybe during the presentation, just note them down, because we have, after the whole presentation, we'll be giving our listeners the opportunity to ask questions, and we'll try as much as possible to provide answers to all of your questions. So you are meeting us now. My name is Timilein Oguntuyaki. I am a PhD student in environmental science, but my research is domiciled in the geology department, Earth Science department at MON. So I'm a second year PhD student, and my co-presenter today is Jasmine, actor, and she's also a PhD student. She's rounding up her PhD in chemistry. And I just want to use this moment to give a very big shout out to Jasmine, because all of the graphics that I used in this presentation almost all of them were created by Jasmine. And so thank you, Jasmine. So we are learning technology coaches, and for short, we call us LTCs at the CITL. And this is a bit of what we do. Like I mentioned, all of us are graduate students at different levels of education at MON. And what we do basically is to support faculties using Brightspace tools and WebEx, essentially communication and instruction, and then instructional design. So that's what we do. So anytime many instructors just get contact, they contact the CITL, and then they link them up with us, and so we support them in any way they can make their presentation better for their students. Again, we investigate and recommend innovative learning technologies. You know that the world order has changed recently in the last couple of years, and then there is need for creativity and innovation, especially in teaching and learning. So what we do, one of the things we do, is to investigate and recommend these learning technologies that would make learning more effective for our students. And finally, we support CITL in content creation, like videos, instructional design, and then client support. So the CITL has been receiving a lot of requests from instructors and even students on whatever issue it might be, maybe on Brightspace or any learning technology. So we are there to also give helping hand to the CITL staff in that regard. So I have given you an overview of what we do at the CITL as learning technology coaches. And then if you at any time, maybe as a student or as a teaching assistant, or even on behalf of your supervisor or advisor, you would want to contact us for any reason, you can connect with us via email on ltc_citl@mon.ca. And you can also reach out to our program coordinator directly, Dr. Marina Greenever, on mgreenever@mon.ca. So why do you really need to kill your audience in an online presentation? You know, the fact that the world is changing, the world order is changing, everything is changing. We were used to in-person presentations and in-person meetings, but at this time now, almost everybody knows what online presentation is. Many platforms have been created for online presentation and all that. So, but that does not diminish the importance of your presentation. Your presentation is special, it is important. So the fact that it is online should not reduce the way you pass your message to people. So you just have it at the back of your mind that your presentation, yes, is important, and not just to you. It is also important to the people that are going to be listening to you. And we need to understand also, on the second note, that the feel is quite different when you are in an online presentation. So that is the major bridge that's the major gap we want to bridge. The feel is different, but you want to make your presentation as special as it is supposed to be if it was an in-person presentation. You cannot keep track of everybody online. Right now, I can only see 4 people on the screen. Meanwhile, I believe there are so many other people on the call right now. And you cannot precisely tell who is actually following your speech or following your presentation. You cannot tell. So many people might be doing some other stuff, while listening to you, or why you think that they are listening to you. So these are some of the reasons why you need to be creative, to get creative with your presentation, to make sure that every minute of the presentation catches the attention of your listeners. And of course, we all know that the level of distraction is very high in an online presentation. I can tell many people might be muted. Many people are muted as it's supposed to be right now. That gives the opportunity for some people, to do whatever they want to do alongside listening to the presentation. That means that your attention is divided. So, since the 100% attention of a listener is not guaranteed in an online presentation, the onus is on the presenter to do all they can to make sure that their listeners stay glued to the presentation till the end. But did you know, in 2014, this survey was carried out in the US, and many employees were called on to respond to this survey. That what exactly do they do? When you are listening, when you're on an online call like this, what else do you do? Do you listen attentively with 100% and rapt attention, or you do some other things? The result is what you are seeing on the chart right now. Many people say they are doing other work. Many people say they were sending email, others were shopping online, playing video games. It's funny, but it is the reality. Many people will be doing many things while your presentation is going on, but you want to pass your message across. So there is a way to know that, yes, I think it is important to get creative with my presentation. I know you have many doubts about this chart, especially because it was in 2014. The first one, it's in 2014. It was pre-COVID era. Many people might not be comfortable with online presentation, but most of us now, we are conversant with online presentation. Zoom and WebEx are our friends, so we can do anything on these platforms. But it doesn't change the fact that many things are still happening. And for that reason, let's just do let's just do a poll. I really want to know what you think about about online presentation, especially I believe that most of us have been in one presentation or the other in the past few weeks, and then we can tell what we cannot tell for the other person, but we can tell, especially for ourselves, what we were doing. So if you wouldn't mind, I would like everybody to please please, we have 5 minutes to just quickly run through this. What else do you do in an online presentation apart from listening to the to the speaker? What else do you do? Do you just sit there with rapt attention, or you do some other stuff? I really want to hear from us. So it is, you'll be seeing the poll on your screen now. Kindly respond. Jasmine, can you confirm if the poll is running?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is okay.
Please select everything that applies to you. It is possible to be doing different things at different meetings. So just select everything you were doing, maybe in an online presentation. During an online presentation, maybe you were eating, you were emailing your advisor, you were shopping online for summer or for spring, or you visited the restroom, whatever you were doing during the presentation. I would really appreciate if we all respond to the poll. We have about 4 minutes left for the poll to run to the end. Okay, I can see some people are still responding, so that's great. So I'll just give it just 1 minute more, so we can. Great. Interesting result. Okay, so let's not take too much of our time with this poll. I believe everybody has responded. So let's see the result of the poll. Can you see the result?
Yes.
Great. So about 43% of us they say that they were eating in an online presentation. About 14%, one person out of us said they are going to the restroom. Nobody's playing games. Nobody's exercising. Nobody is going doing online shopping. And then 43% said they put 100% attention. How interesting! 100% attention. That's great. So this is just to tell us that, yeah, it happens in an online presentation, and it is just normal. It is not a crime. It is just normal for people to do other things, because you just give them the opportunity to do it. It is online. You don't know what is happening behind your screen, and that's all you can see. So I just wanted to do that poll so that we can have the understanding that truly not everybody will listen to you 100% in an online presentation, and this should form the basis of your planning for any presentation you have. Just plan as much as the presentation is important to you, or as much as the message you want to pass is important to you. So going straight into how to captivate your audience in an online presentation, the very first thing is knowing your audience. And before I go to knowing your audience, the very first thing is preparing adequately. And under preparing adequately, I have a list of things to make sure that you are well prepared for your presentation in an online setting. So the first one is knowing your audience. I think it is important we understand that our audience, or let me say audiences in a particular setting or the other, would have varying degree of understanding, varying degree of education, varying, degree of interest, especially maybe because of culture, because of age difference, and because of maybe religion in some areas, or it could even be field. You might have people who are all averagely 20 to 30 years old in your audience, but all of them, some people are in the geoscience, some other people are in chemistry, some other people are in arts and culture, and some other people are in medicine. You know that you have to present a balanced when you are presenting, you know that you have people from all walks of life. Then you want to be sure that you are not using too much technical jargons. You are not using too much technical words when you are presenting. So it is important to know your audience. And you cannot be presenting to people who are 50, 60 years old and be talking about the trendy things on the social media right now. So you want to really have an understanding or an idea of who your audience are. You want to be sure, so that when you are presenting, they don't just go off the topic. And the implication of that is that they will not be able to follow you when you are talking about Twitter to someone that is 80 or 50 or 60 years old. What is it talking about? So that kind of a thing. So you understand who your audience is. Again, you want to have a very good grip of the concept you are presenting, especially the basics of the concept you are presenting. I found out that in many cases, anytime I'm presenting, whatever the questions that actually take me off balance, they are the simplest of all questions. The simplest, and it is important that you stay firmly throughout your presentation to be able to make sure that your audience follow you to the very end. So you want to understand the very basis of your or concept of your presentation. And again, you need a strategy based on your content and your audience. You need a strategy, because if you have maybe professors or people that are maybe serious with whatever you want to be talking about, you just need an icebreaker. You need something that would calm their nerves. You need something that will make them feel relaxed and connected to you, maybe from the very beginning of the presentation. You might just crack a joke. You can just do a poll. You can do a survey. You can ask very simple questions. You can do all sort of things. You can actually read more on this to find out, what can I do for this type of audience? What can I do to make sure that, from the very beginning, at least they stay connected to me? I should just form a kind of connection. Again, you want to be able to know how to use the platform. You might have been using WebEx for a very long time, but one day when you are presenting on Zoom, you will understand that there will be a difference in the way the tools work. You want to share your screen, you want to do a poll, you want to do breakout rooms, all sort of great things that you can do on online platforms. But you want to be able to understand how the platform works. You want to rehearse with the platform before you go into the meeting. Again, please plan not to be reading your slides, because people can tell. Even in an online presentation, they can tell. Right now, you can see I'm staring at my camera and not at the screen. But if you are staring at the screen and reading from it, people would know. And just like in-person presentation, we have always been advised, to form eye contact, to establish eye contact for connection. But in online setting, the only way you can do it, you don't see your audience, you cannot see them, but they can see you. So you want to be doing that, looking straight into the camera. So you cannot stare at the camera throughout the presentation, but then just try to keep that connection going once in a time. Again, prepare to sign in before the attendees. I cannot imagine if you guys have been here 12 noon and we are just signing in, maybe 12:05, and we are looking for the share button, we are looking for everything, and we are just scattered all over the place. But if you come in beforehand, you prepare your slide, it is already set up somewhere, and then the next thing is just to click on share screen. That would be the best, and that would also reduce being nervous. You don't want to be nervous when you are presenting, because that's what kills most good vibes during presentation, and that leads to the final point there, to be in control. You have to really be in control, and to be in control you have to eliminate fear, and this is what practicing helps you to do. Proper preparation helps you to eliminate fear to the bare minimum, and you would be in control of your presentation. That's the very first point. And to the next point is being present in your presentation. Many people want to present, but they are not present during their presentation. But it is important that your audience, that they feel your presence. They feel your presence, they feel your energy, they feel your intelligence, they feel that this person knows his or her onions. They understand that you are passionate about the topic you are presenting, and they can see it from the way you present. So I wouldn't take anybody seriously if they are presenting in an online presentation to maybe a professional, in a professional setting, and they do not have their camera turned on. I'll feel like, so what do you take the audience for? So please turn your camera on. Turn your camera on. Then you want to manage your voice, and this works hand in hand with rehearsing with the platform on which you are going to be presenting. So you can record yourself maybe once or twice, and then listen to the feedback, and that will show you what people at the front end will be hearing when you are presenting. So you want to be able to manage your voice. At what level do I sound too noisy? At what level do I sound too low? And then the use of technical terms, like I mentioned the other time. You want to be sure that you are not going off rail by using too technical terms in your presentation, because you know your project, you know your work, you have been working on it for many months, but not everybody is in that reality. Not everybody knows what's going on with your project. You are looking for a creative way of bringing what you've been doing for months into a 15-minute presentation. So you really want to be sure that you are not using terms that people would find difficult to understand. Lastly, keep it short, impactful, and end on time. So when I was doing my master's at UBC, my supervisor used to tell me that there is only one way of presenting, and a strategy that has worked for everybody that he knows, and I think it is working for me as well. You want to start your presentation, tell people what you want to tell them. In this presentation, this is what I will do, and do a good job telling them that thing during the presentation. And after the presentation, tell them, I have just told you what I told you I was going to tell you. And it's that simple. Make sure there is a key message, and that is the impact that I'm talking about. It has to be impactful. So when you are presenting, make sure you have a key message, a take-home message that people can hold on to. A fact, when people see you somewhere else, maybe in another conference, they can tell that this person said this, have that impactful presentation. So the third thing that you want to do is to interact with your audience. You cannot be the only one talking and expect people to give you that audience throughout your presentation. Give them an activity, ask questions. If you are doing a project that is related to what one of the person who is on the call is doing, you can mention their names. You can relate your project to familiar things that people know. You can, you can be talking about chemistry and be making mention of Tim Hortons coffee. You can do it, all sort of things. As a geologist, we mention, we work with the earth, with rock. So we mention cake, we mention bread all of the time, because people can actually resonate with this thing. They understand. But when you just mention rock, it sounds uninteresting to people all of the time. So you want to engage your listeners with very simple questions through polls and surveys. Don't ask them too personal questions that might be, they might find, you know I don't want to answer. Why is he asking? You don't want to ask them very personal questions, but you want to engage them with simple questions through polls and surveys. So here I'll be talking about using visually appealing figures, and you cannot do without this if you want to have a great presentation. You want to have great figures. You want to have great figures in your presentation. I don't know how else I can say this without shouting. You need visually appealing figures. Now, can you imagine? Would you prefer having this kind of table in your presentation, where your audience will be looking for what is potential V, what is urea, and you have to do all of it, a lot of talking, to make sure that they get the message from this figure. But imagine having this easy, from the very first gaze at this very figure, you can tell that, okay, this one goes up at a particular level. You can show that potential changes with, concentration and current. A lot of information to take away from this, but the table does not give as much information, and you would stress yourself trying to make your audience understand what's going on the table, but the figure does justice to it. Still on the matter, many people prefer writing figures, writing text, a lot of text in their presentation. Of course, they find it easy, especially in an online presentation, because they can read. They can just read, and this presentation should just be over. But your presentation doesn't have to be like every other presentation. It needs to stand out, and that is why you need something like this. So when you have something like this, it takes about 2-3 seconds for your audience to take whatever information they want to take out of your figure, out of whatever you are presenting in the slide. When they have a figure like this, quickly they take the message. We know from here that credit card is the mode of payment that has the highest percentage easily, and we know that cash is only 4%. But before people start reading and taking points one after the other, you are exhausted or they are even distracted. So also, many people, even though they have visually appealing figures, they have like too much information rather. They have too much information on a slide, and keeps the audience confused which one to take first, which one to, understand first. But when you know that you have, for example, if you want to be comparing data on a particular slide, you can just be creative with the use of animation and just do something like this and explain this first and then go into the next. So easily people will just, okay, so this is what I'm focusing on at the moment. This is the only one I'm focusing on at the moment. You are not confusing me with another data, and I've not even gotten the message from this yet. And then you come with this, and then you finally compare, even if that is what you want to do. But avoid cramming too much information in one slide. It is not good for your audience. Finally, you want to make your presentation very easy to follow. Okay, you have visually appealing figures, you have prepared well, you have done everything you need to do. But when it comes to rendering your presentation, you want to make it very easy to follow. For instance, if you number your slides, it gives the audience to keep track of whatever you are saying, and they can refer to it when it comes to asking you questions about your project, about your research or your presentation. They will say, okay, go to slide 1. They will not tell you keep scrolling up or down, go to slide 1, go to slide 2, slide 3. So when you number your slides, it makes reference very easy. And then you want to give appropriate titles and numbers to your figures. You just don't want to dump the data on the audience and let them deal with it. You want to give it good title that will summarize what's happening in the data. And then you want to maintain proper logical flow in your presentation. For instance, if you mentioned something in one slide, before going to the next slide, know that where you ended the previous slide is where you probably take up the next slide. Let there be logical, let there be connection so that they can easily follow. The consequence of not making it logically following each other is people just get distracted because they were holding on to a message and it was being established in their mind, and then you bring up another thing totally different, then it would distract them or even confuse them, and they lose track of whatever you are saying. And then you want to manage graphics color effectively. Imagine me putting very bright figure on this bright background. It wouldn't make sense. Some color combinations wouldn't just go together. And then finally, you do not want to cram too much information in one slide. It could be text, it could be graphics, it could be anything. Just make sure that your slide has one message that people will be going away with. And then when you go to the next slide, it is a progressive, movement. So it is not as if you are dragging them back and forth. It has a pattern that it is following. And at the end of the day, you will have your audience staying glued to your presentation, and that will make your message effectively passed across. So this will be the very end of my presentation. Again, I would like to thank Jasmine for providing the graphics to these slides. If you have any questions, this will be the best time. Thank you. Uh, Asita, please go ahead. Hi, Asita. I guess you were raising your hand. Do you have a question? Mm. Oh, okay. Thanks. So, Victoria, I guess we do not have any questions, at least up till now.